AEW is reportedly targeting Chad Gable in free agency. A New Japan star is becoming a free agent, and a WWE star is teasing something there. And of course, we got to talk about a huge update in regards to Penta. Is he staying? Is he going? We're going to talk about it all right here on the Ango Show. Yes. Don't forget, we got a giveaway for the World Heavyweight Championship replica belt at 100,000 subscribers. Okay, let's talk about Penta and his situation in AEW. Yesterday on this channel, we spoke about the report from Lucha Libre Online, which suggested that his contract will expire August or September of 2024, and that WWE was interested in acquiring him to the brand. Well, now Dave Meltzer has wrote a very interesting update. He says that Tony Khan has indicated that he was confident Penta would stay with the promotion. Others have said that Penta was looking at buying the rights to his name to make sure he could take the gimmick to WWE if necessary. Interesting. Now, I want to point this out because I think it is absolutely important that we point this out. There seems to be a very big concern, at least in the comments of my previous video, about Penta joining WWE. And I want to say this. WWE under the new regime is not the same WWE from the previous regime. However, there are still restrictions in WWE compared to what there is in AEW. And I feel like Penta's decision will come to a very simple answer. And it's really going to be the answer as to whether or not he will have the ability to be utilized in AEW while also working AAA and still working on AEW cards that feature CMLL talent. Now, for some of you who are confused by that statement, there has been a long history between CMLL and AAA, where talent are not allowed to be on the same show. Tony Khan may have fixed that problem, and it sounds like that problem may have been resolved. And if that's the case, and that's obviously important to Penta, then perhaps Penta will stick around in AEW. But also, I think Penta is going to have a situation where WWE is now trying to work with other companies. Can Penta be the one to help WWE cross that bridge with maybe AAA? I don't know. But I imagine if WWE were able to work with AAA, that could be quite enticing for Penta. Look, guys, it's actually pretty simple. Everybody kind of knows how WWE operates before they sign with WWE. So if you don't like the way WWE is doing things now, then you're probably not going to like the way that WWE does things once you sign there. And I feel like with Penta's situation, it's actually a lot more of a simple issue. It's whether or not he'll be able to do certain things and then obviously bring his gimmick to WWE, which I think WWE would be absolutely foolish if they didn't allow him to. It is something to absolutely acknowledge, but that's what makes free agency fun. Don't forget, free agency. Nobody knows who's going to go where, stay, go, leave, what companies. Like, anybody could show up at any point in time. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it entertaining. And ultimately, the fresh matchups that you get when people leave companies, join other companies. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. I love it. You know what else I love? Slapjack. Okay, now this sounds kind of funny. I'm not going to lie. The Slapjack gimmick was pretty terrible. But the guy behind the mask, Shane Haste, is a freaking hell of a talent. And he is potentially leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. His contract is expiring. That was reported by Fightful Select. And now what's actually even crazier is that you have Big Bronson Reed teasing this in response to the Fightful tweet. Now, for some of you guys who don't know, Bronson Reed used to be part of the mighty Don't Kneel. A lot of people don't know that before Shane Haste was in WWE, before he was tag teaming with Duke Hudson on WWE Raw, I think that was like 2019. What a weird time period, by the way. Before he was doing that, before he was Slapjack, there was a time where TM61 was part of the NXT tag team division. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I want to say that's anywhere from like 2013 to 2016 NXT. My guess is more along the lines of 2014, 2015. But that's kind of like the timeline that I remember. TM61 was part of the tag team division. Didn't last very long. But Shane Haste is not foreign to the WWE system. Triple H very well knows who he is. And I'm starting to wonder if there is more to this tweet from Bronson Reed, because a lot of people who didn't know this, Bronson Reed used to be part of the Mighty Don't Kneel. TM61 was the name change. Because of course WWE at that time was changing everything from a gimmick standpoint and the name standpoint. But my point that I'm making is there is obviously history between Bronson Reed and Shane Haste. Now, who knows what he's going to do? And again, it just goes back to what I was saying about free agency being very fun and you never know what's going to happen. I wouldn't mind Shane Haste coming back to WWE. I also wouldn't mind the idea of him going to AEW. I also want to just point this out. I have personally met Shane Haste. I don't think he knew who I was at the time when I met him backstage at a TNA event, but me and my cousins were there, and just a very cool experience. Shane Haste, bad dude, Tito, just really, really nice individuals, talking like normal human beings. Just one of those like small little things that I just shared a couple laughs, things like that, like just having a conversation and talking about things in wrestling. And like I said, I don't even know if these guys knew who I was or what I do for a living, which makes it even a little bit better because it just seemed like a real genuine interaction. When you have those real genuine interactions with people who come up to you and talk to you, and maybe I'm sharing a little more than I should, but my thing is when I experience that with somebody, I want to see them win. I want to see them get the bag. I want to see them on national TV. I want to see them do big things in the industry because that's like a pure, genuine, nice thing. They don't have to do that. They do that. It's just a really good thing to see. I like this guy, man. And I always felt bad that they put him in the slapjack gimmick. What the hell was that? All right, guys, let's talk about Chad Gable. Obviously we're talking a lot about Chad Gable. Very interesting stuff. Obviously AEW can't make an offer to Chad Gable until Chad Gable officially becomes a free agent. You guys know that I believe Chad Gable is staying with the WWE. I've said this quite a bit. However, Dave Meltzer says that there has been key people in AEW who are pushing Tony Khan to go and make an offer for Chad Gable when his contract expires. Now, this is where things get chaotic because Chad Gable in AEW would probably be very fascinating to see. From an in-ring standpoint, there are tons and tons and tons of matches I want to see with Chad Gable and the roster of AEW. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Like Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Jay White. I could just keep going on and on and on. Obviously, Bryan Danielson's there. There's just a lot of people. Kyle O'Reilly, Swerve Strickland. Like Chad Gable will pretty much create magic with anybody on that roster. Also, Samoa Joe is there. I mean, like I said, I could just keep going on and on and on. I'm not going to do that. My point that I make is that there are a lot of matchups I would love to see. The reality is, I don't think Chad Gable's leaving, nor do I necessarily think that Chad Gable should leave. This heel turn, this storyline, this chase for the Intercontinental Championship has become some of the most compelling TV in months. And the fact that he's even getting Otis and Maxine and Tozawa involved, it's literally a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the talent. It's a win for the fans. And I do think if Chad Gable stays with WWE, he at some point will be champion. And I do actually believe long-term Chad Gable will be one of the guys that eventually get into the world championship picture. It's tough. It's tough to predict what's going to happen. But again, I will say it for the third time. Free agency is fun, man. The idea that anybody could show up anywhere just makes it so much more interesting. And the good thing is, Chad Gable's a hell of a talent and deserves the recognition. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.